It's time for another segment of Mr. and Mrs. Medicare, saving seniors from a high cost of healthcare, debunking Medicare, making Medicare easy to understand for all seniors. All guests of any of the Medicare segments receive the free ebook written by your MedicareLady.com. Here are your hosts, Paul and Sarah Finkelstein.
There's not going to be a whole segment, but you can get the free ebook for Mr. and Mrs. Medicare. Mrs. Medicare wrote a great book, and that you can find out. Just email me at Paul Finkelstein, Mrs. Medicare, or Sarah Finkelstein. You could find out about the free book, get the free book. Just email me at wow@omgtalk.com. Just email me wow@omgtalk.com. Put in the subject line, free ebook, all about Medicare. Anything you were afraid to ask, just email me at wow@omgtalk.com, or put in there more information about Medicare. Text me at 561-302-0051. Just text me anything you want to know about Medicare to that number as well. And Tony has the last word. I'll let him talk about that, and then we'll get right into today's 10-minute spotlight.
You have been listening to the OMG Podcast with Paul Finkelstein. We can help you build wealth without hogging your time. Schedule a one-on-one with us. Thanks for listening. Join us again for another OMG Podcast segment.
And here's the introduction before I come back on the screen. This is Paul Finkelstein, but hey, to be able to do your own introduction as well, just the tricky part, not so tricky part actually, is just I'm not on the screen right now, but just a picture, so a little bit of a surprise at the moment if we've never met before. But Paul Finkelstein's a very popular name. There's over 50 Paul Finkelsteins on LinkedIn. I'm on several different social media platforms, and there's probably 50 Paul Finkelsteins there as well. The same exact first and last name. Paul Finkelstein, this Paul Finkelstein, doesn't like to stay in the lines because he thinks bigger than that. How about yourself? Are you a think big kind of person? Unless you're okay with the status quo, mediocrity, and never getting a raise from your job or business ever, then you'll definitely not be interested in this speech coming up, or entrepreneurship. But you'll find this talk very boring. So I do invite you to have a big open mind and maybe stick around for the first 5 minutes of 10 or longer for some new concepts that might be new to you for the first short 5 or 10 minute talk. Paul Finkelstein, dream big-er. Dream big-er, Paul Finkelstein. Hi there, everybody. Good morning. It is Paul Finkelstein. And it is even important to dream big well into the new year. Happy 2026 New Year. You did hear the disclaimer. If you didn't hear the disclaimer, it will be archived. Stay up here as well. I might as well read the disclaimer one more time in case you weren't paying attention, or if somebody just came on right now. And that's unless you're okay with status quo, mediocrity, or never getting a raise from your job, business, or portfolio, you will definitely not be interested in this next spotlight talk. But if you are a big dream kind of person, if you are a dream big kind of person, if you're an entrepreneur kind of person, if you're interested remotely in being an entrepreneur, hey, stick around and let's chat a little bit. Let's see if we're more alike than we are different. But why dream big? Maybe you'd like to go where the sun spends the winters on the beaches of the world, like this says. Maybe you want to travel to go places like the Parthenon in Athens, Greece, like we did many years ago. My wife and I, that's us pictured there. Not an AI, a real picture when they had real pictures. And then this was the picture as well of us, what we look like. We looked a lot younger then. So why dream big? Those are some reasons for me, but maybe think about for yourself, why do you want to dream big? And maybe you have no reason whatsoever to dream big, and you're probably just listening for some entertainment value. You like this guy because he's extra enthusiastic and it motivates you to maybe get up and get on your treadmill or go for a walk or go to the mailbox, get some extra exercise. Let's find out if we're more alike than we are different. Are you the kind of person that actually mowed the lawn when you were in high school? Are you the kind of person that used a snowblower in the Northeast because your parents said that's your chore and you better do it because you need to earn your keep and you're going to use the snowblower and you're going to get the snow off this driveway? You could use the shovel, or you could use the snowblower. We don't care. Just get the snow up there so we can go to work. But are we more alike than we are different? Did you do something like that? Did you actually think a little bit entrepreneurial and said, hey, can I use this snowblower, mom, dad, and do the neighbors? And can I make some extra cash? And then you're starting to get the entrepreneurial wheels turning. Of course, there's more to it, being an entrepreneur and getting your own money involved into your own investment as well. I didn't have to pay for that snowblower. I had to pay for that lawnmower. So I probably should have paid them back for it and then continued. But hey, what was I thinking at such a young age, below 20 years old? What were you thinking before you were 20 years old as well? Did you ever, so you operated a snowblower, maybe you did a lawnmower, maybe your sister or brother did. Did you work in a kitchen, prepping food, dishwasher, anything in the kitchen? It doesn't matter. Nothing's beneath you. You're a server, you're a busboy, whatever. You did some discipline, got that work ethic at an earlier age, as the earliest age as possible. I think my wife beat me to it because she got her work ethic in when she was 12 years old. When did you get your work ethic in for you? Or just coast and enjoy being a kid until it was absolutely necessary to work? And some of us never had absolutely necessary to go to work. But that being said, here's my question for you. Or millions of people want to own their own business, but they don't. Why don't they? But millions of people think about owning their own business, but just don't do it. And we'll go over the reasons why they don't do it, maybe the reasons why they should do it. And we know why we should dream big. But that picture you see right there, that's me sitting on my mom's lap. And on my 13th birthday, she threw a birthday party, a very special 13th birthday party for me. And I landed right on my mom's lap. The DJ was playing a game with the other kids that came to my 13th birthday party. And the DJ said, Red Rover, send Johnny over. And we all ran to the side of the dance floor. And I landed square right in my mom's lap. We smiled for the picture. It was a great moment. My mom passed away from ovarian cancer. I'm doing all of this in honor of mom because she had on her desk a paperweight that had the words fierce written right on it. She was a fierce entrepreneur, but back in the day, they called her a workaholic. I didn't hear the word entrepreneur too much growing up, but I did hear the word workaholic a lot. Self-employed people are kind of like workaholics, and they kind of consider themselves a bit of an entrepreneur. But what if the entrepreneur thinking can be brought over to the other side of the equation? What equation? The equation called the cash flow quadrant that Robert Kiyosaki put into an entire book. He's another person also that hated to read and write. He did not, maybe he liked to read, but he didn't like to write. And he forced himself to do something that he did not like to do, write books. And he's a bestseller, all those purple books. So purple might be a good color to put on the cover of your book, perhaps. But that picture, just keep in mind, that's myself. I look a little different from then. I'm a little bit older from then, a little bit wiser from then, a little bit more educated than then about business, about entrepreneurship. And I'm very fascinated about the concept of being an entrepreneur, a workaholic, a business owner versus an employee or self-employed person. If you're like that and you're thinking like that, you're not quite an entrepreneur yet. You're not quite a self-employed person yet. You're not quite a business owner. We'll talk about all this kind of different kind of business owners that you can be. But if you're thinking about it, let's keep in touch. Put something in the comments. Maybe perhaps you can also email me or text me, and I'll just do a shout out to this person, Jose. Hi, Jose. Thanks so much for listening as well. Great having you here. This is fun. So let's talk about what I call the 6 curse words that amateur entrepreneurs, they're 4-letter, some of them are 4-letter words, but they're not curse words like you think. So don't worry. This is for kids as well. None of these words are those curse words that you're thinking about. But these are the curse words that I think amateur entrepreneurs battle with that hold you back from being a successful entrepreneur, because the odds are that 80% of small businesses that start fail fast, like 1 year or less, like 5 years or less. You're lucky to make it to 5 years if you get to 5 years. But here's the 6 curse words: mediocrity, tired. Now, if tired also goes with another word called sick, we'll talk about that later. And you really are really interested in being an entrepreneur, and we'll talk about that. Comfortable, another curse word for amateur entrepreneurs. Procrastination. Work. That's truly a four-letter word for amateur entrepreneurs. Work. Who likes to do it? We all like to take this path of least resistance. The path of least resistance is not work. Effort. Same as work, just spelled differently, sounds differently. We'll go back to that game that I played when I was 13 years old, myself pictured there on the screen. But let's remind ourselves about why dream big. Maybe your dream is to go where the sun spends the winters on the beaches of the world because you are in a cold climate and you want to hang out at more places like this all around the world. Maybe you want to travel and be at all different kinds of vacation hotspots or historical spots and have a tour guide and stay at luxury hotels. Whatever your dream is, you're in the right place at the right time. But who has a job said this ever? Ever. My job is so sexy. My job is so sexy. I love my job. I like my job. Yes. The first week you did. After the first week, do you still like it? How much more are they paying you? How much more sheep food are they giving you at your job? I don't need or want a big raise or my job or my business. I don't need any stinking revenue. I'm happy working for free. I make good money. What is good money? How much is good money? Nowadays, with AI and looking up on YouTube and Google, you could find out what every single occupation gets paid. Is that what you're going to be content with? Never getting a raise for the rest of your life? We're going to go over the income circle because that's how you never get a raise for the rest of your life. And you understand the income circle. So why dream big? This is my favorite one. Maybe you have something different than this. To go where the sun spends their winters on the beaches of the world. But did you know you're surrounded by millions of people who settled for something less? You are surrounded by millions of people who settled for something less. Did you know that 95% of your peers, by the time they get to 65, are dead, disabled, or broke? Those three things. Only 4% are financially okay. 1 is stinking rich. No, I'm not the one that's stinking rich. I'm a little shot that keeps shooting. I'm not a big shot here. I'm just a little, I keep shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting. I keep aiming for my target, my goals. Not shooting like you're thinking. Aiming for my goals, my dreams. And we're going to talk about the definition of success in just a moment. And here it is. My favorite definition of success is the progressive realization of a worthwhile dream come true. And when should you do that? What age should you do that? Success is the progressive realization of a worthwhile dream come true. Success is the progressive realization of a worthwhile dream come true. Success looks different in the eyes of a 20-year-old, in the eyes of a 30-year-old, in the eyes of a 40-year-old, in the eyes of a 50-year-old, in the eyes of a 60-year-old, in the eyes of a 70-year-old, in the eyes of an 80-year-old, in the eyes of a 90-year-old, in the eyes of a 100-year-old. At 100 years old, we are thinking differently than we do when we're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Right now, I'd like you to you please take a piece of paper out, a blank sheet of paper. Have some room on there. And on that entire piece of paper, I want you to put one circle right in the middle of that circle. And if we were on a Zoom call, which we're not, if you could actually take that circle and draw a dollar sign right in the middle of that circle, you know, an S with 2 lines down through it, that is your income circle. That is how much money you make, which is different from everybody else in the world. Different from your friends, different from your family, unless you have the same exact job. But are you making the same thing at the same exact job, at the same exact company, or at a different company or a competitor? Are you making the same thing? And how much more? Not much more. It might be give or take something. But is it something that's going to get you rich? Probably not. Definitely not. But have you heard of the book Robert Kiyosaki by Cash Flow Quadrant? You can skip this entire spotlight speech and not meet Paul and go read that book. And if I've inspired you to read that book, then thank you, or say thank you, and put comments in the chat wherever you're listening to this and say thank you, Paul, for letting me get that book, Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. But now there's another step. If you can draw a circle around that income circle you just drew, you now have your dream circle. If you never had your dream circle before, you had a financial house that was probably turned upside down, that did not know what their fund number is, did not know what their fine number is, their fin number is. Different financial institutions call it different things, but your income circle is so important for your lifestyle. What lifestyle did you choose to live, or did you settle for a certain lifestyle? So I love this quadrant here, this cash flow quadrant, because there's 4 ways of making money. 4 ways of making money. Did you know that? You're probably already doing one of them. Chances are you're already doing one of them. Statistically speaking, you are doing one of them. Why? Well, 95% by the time they reach 65 are dead, disabled, or broke at 65. That tells me that most of you are employees, not the other 3. Maybe you're dabbling in the other 3 part-time, spare time, but most of us are employees. And if you have any interest in bumping it up a notch, not to go down and staying on the left side of the quadrant where it says self-employed, you'll know what I'm talking about if you have the book, but if you don't have the book, go get it. But the other side of the quadrant, this is like that game that I played, pictured over there, where I'm sitting on my mom's lap. I'm 13 years old, and the DJ says, Red Rover, send Johnny over. And all the kids, picture all 13-year-olds running over from the self-employed and employee side over to the right side of the quadrant, where there are business owners, investors sitting over there, or people that are interested in taking the next program to be a business owner and investor. Would you like to be one of those? Would you like to make more money and leverage yourself, a lot more leverage than you can with an employee or self-employed situation? It could be stressful. I warn you, it could take your balance out of whack. But there are programs to deal with that. So if it feels stressful, if you think it's a lot of risk, there are programs to deal with that. Why dream big? Yours might not be my dream. To go where the sun spends the winters on the beaches of the world. Your dream might be something different, and it should be something different because it's you. But who helps an old lady cross the road? Who helps an old lady cross the road? Let's talk about nice people in this world. A nice person, a mentor, a coach, a gentleman, a mensch, a distinguished Toastmaster, a kind person. Same kind of person that helps an employee or self-employed person cross the road and wake up as a business owner and investor. And I'm looking to mentor and help people go from employee to self-employed to business owner and investor on the right side of the cash flow quadrant. I consider myself a coach, a mentor, an inspirer, a kind person, an entrepreneur, a business owner who was once an employee, all those things. Very interesting to be an employee. Very interesting at all different ages. I remember my first job when at 11th grade, at junior in high school, one of my peers in high school, they wanted to go on a date. And they said, Paul, could you please take my spot? I didn't know they were quitting their job forever. So I ended up being given that job, working in the kitchen, learning all the ins and outs of how to make Italian food in an Italian restaurant. And then I don't think I did any serving at that age, but I did everything in the kitchen, from washing the floors to doing the dishes to prepping some food. But why does it feel good to help someone? Why does it feel so good to mentor someone? Why does it even feel good to exercise? Why does it feel so good to educate somebody who wants to be educated? Why does it feel good to teach someone? And who will teach you if I don't? What will happen if you don't listen to me right now? Who are you listening to? Are you listening to anybody but yourself in the mirror? Why don't people dream big? And I'm going to give you the reasons why I think people don't dream big. There's many things that could waste our time. Back in the day, years ago for me, it was television. But today, it's TikTok, it's TV, it's Netflix, it's binge watching, it's other time zappers. We all have 168 hours in a week for 45 years, and then we become tired. Or if you enjoy fitness, we could stretch our years to a lot longer years. Now, grandma wasn't the biggest fitness buff, but she did get around with her walker, and she did walk as much as she can, and she made it to 102 years old. So you don't have to be an Olympic fitness person to live a long life. You just have to do a couple of things right. Now, does sick precede tired for you? Is sick and tired of a boss? Sick and tired, they go together? Or sick and tired of not getting a raise? Remember I said in the earlier this talk, I love my job, it's so sexy. What person said that with a job? You? Are you sick and tired of being broke? Are you sick and tired of your income circle falling short of your dream circle? And maybe we should talk further. Then email me at wow@omgtalk.com and put in the subject line, I heard your talk, Paul, about dreaming big. And then I'll reply and let's keep in touch. Or text me, I'm looking for more, Paul, and text me at 561-302-0051. But why dream big? Yours might be different than this, to go where the sun spends the winters on the beaches of the world. But why don't more people dream big? Perhaps it's fear, lack of capital, which is lack of money, lack of knowledge. They don't know what business to do, what activity to do to get themselves to dream big, what books to read. I'll tell you some. I'll suggest some. Lack of education, lack of confidence. I highly recommend Toastmasters to gain more confidence for you. I'll tell you exactly how to do it, absolutely for nothing. Just email me at wow@omgtalk.com or text me, I'm looking for more, at 561-302-0051. I'll tell you all about Toastmasters you want to know, where you can go, how to get into it, how much it costs. It's cheap. It's not even for profit. It's a nonprofit organization. You learn how to do lots of things to make yourself more confident. Here's the acronym for fear. Have you ever heard this? Because I run into people every day that have never heard this. I've run into some people that have heard of this. And I've run into a lot of people that have never heard this acronym. Fear equals false evidence appearing real. It's very real. Fear. But also, it is very real that it is false evidence appearing real. Maybe you should say, forget everything and run and go right to it, because action cures fear. So you might have already discovered that by just doing it. Just do it. So here's some book recommends. Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki, How to Be Rich by J. Paul Getty, Magic of Thinking Big by Dr. David Schwartz, and Think and Go Rich by Dr. Napoleon Hill. And if I said that too fast, well, I don't have all day. I'm at about a 22-minute speech right here. I know most people probably tuned off after 5 minutes or 30 seconds. And I did read a disclaimer that if you're interested in the status quo and mediocrity, those people already signed off. But maybe you're listening to this after I'm done and you're catching this on the replay, the rerun. What's that? Google it. What's a rerun? So why dream big? It's different from mine. Maybe it's the same as mine, to go where the sun spends the winters on the beaches of the world. But when you're ready to dream big, when your dream circle, when you're ready to get your dream circle, you will dream big. When your income circle is falling short of your dream circle and you want more, maybe it'll improve your health to dream big as well. So let's see if we are more alike than we are different. Did you mow your lawn? Did you use a snowblower? Did you work in a kitchen in your early years? Maybe you're doing that now. Maybe you are interested in other ways to dream big for yourself, like going where the sun spends the winters on the beaches of the world. I'm going to give the last word to two special announcements, and let's stay in touch. Leave some comments in the chat or email me at wow@omgtalk.com or text me, I want more Paul out of life, at 561-302-0051. Here's a message from your Medicare lady.
It's time for another segment of Mr. and Mrs. Medicare, saving seniors from a high cost of healthcare, debunking Medicare, making Medicare easy to understand for all seniors. All guests of any of the Medicare segments received a free ebook written by your MedicareLady.com. Here are your hosts, Paul and Sarah Finkelstein.
Thanks so much for Tony talking about your Medicare lady. Also, if you want that free ebook all about Medicare, everything you're afraid to ask, just email me at wow@omgtalk.com. Put in the subject line, free Medicare ebook. Send it to me right away in your ebook. And as soon as I see the email, I will send it to you. And Tony has the last word as well. Thank you so much, Tony, as well.
You have been listening to the OMG podcast with Paul Finkelstein. We can help you build wealth without hogging your time. Schedule a one-on-one with us. Thanks for listening. Join us again for another OMG podcast segment.
And I just want to say the last words for those hanging in or listen to this later. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you go to a presentation and nobody says thank you, well, they're probably trained that you should be thanking us for giving you some valuable information. But I also do believe that I thank you for your time. You didn't have to be here today. You could have been somewhere else, but you chose to be here. Thanks so much for listening. Have a wonderful weekend. Ciao for now. TGIF.